It's time for Secrets Revealed Parts 1 and 2 dialogue. Welcome, magical people, to Zealman's Wizarding World. Okay, it's been a while since I've been chatting away. Busy, had some holiday and stuff like that. And of course, the mess around with the events kind of pushed the brilliant events back. And I'm not really doing news anymore, so I'm doing storylines. So I had to wait for a little bit. In the meantime, I have been interested in The Witcher, Monster Slayer. Now, originally when this came out, I thought, it's just going to be a random ping and shoot type thing, nothing, just quite boring and grindy. But apparently, it has sort of quests and stuff, which sounds quite interesting. Now, that's the only thing I know about it. I mean, I've watched The Witcher before, and I did start listening to the audiobooks a while ago, and I kind of stopped when COVID happened because I never listened to audiobooks when I was in the car. So I'm about to start catching up on those again. Well, there's a heck of a lot of books. So yeah, I'll be playing that a little bit later on this week. I've installed it. I have that little blue icon on my phone saying, tap me, tap me, tap me, but I'm resisting. I'm charging up my GoPro and stuff like that, and we can do that. So that video should hopefully be coming towards the end of the week, providing work isn't completely crazy. So what we'll do, we'll start off in the studio with that one, set the game up while we're connected to Wi-Fi, in case we need to download a huge amount of assets, and then we'll go out and have a play and see what we can find. So if you're interested in The Witcher, Monster Slayer, subscribe and hit the notification bell for that to come out. So yes, fun. Also, we're waiting for the 1920s Foundables to come out. That's taking us time. I think they're making some changes to it. I'm trying to work out if that's because of feedback after we kind of gave the game away and people responded in a not so positive way, as communities always do. So maybe these are making changes. We'll have to see what happens when the next code comes out. But anyway, Secrets Revealed, Part 1, Dialogue, Intro, Hermione. Any luck getting information out of Gareth Greengrass? Harry, no! Well, nothing changes there. He barely said a word since we took him into custody under suspicion of being a member of the Unforgivable. When he does speak, it's only to proclaim his innocence. Hermione, this isn't good, Harry. A confession made under the influence of Veritaserum. A confession made under the influence of Veritaserum won't hold up in court, especially not one obtained so unconventionally. With our only other evidence, circumstantial and no paper trail to be found, I'm not sure how much longer we can legally detain him. Harry, I know. It doesn't help that a number of ministry officials, particularly those within the Department of Mysteries, who have worked with Gareth for years, are calling for his release. Some even claim we used the Imperious curse to get a false confession out of him. Blimey. Hermione, we don't have time to entertain rumours. Don't forget, we still need to use this surge to restore Ron's memories of our second year at Hogwarts. Any moment we don't spend getting Gareth to talk, we should spend helping Ron. Of course, Hermione, when you used the Veritaserum and left us on a cliffhanger, what did you ask Gareth why the Veritaserum was in place? Because surely it lasts a while. I mean, look at all the information that Dumbledore got out of Barty Crouch Jr. in that, 2 minutes? What did you do? Just go, aha! And then just lock him away and wait for it to wear off? Because you could have got a load of information out of him. Anyway. Brilliant Slytherin Seeker Draco Malfoy. Harry, you're only making things worse for yourself by not talking, Gareth. We know you've been conspiring against the Ministry as a member of the Unforgivable, and we have evidence to prove it. Gareth, if that were true, I'd be on my way to Azkaban instead of locked away in a holding cell now, wouldn't I? Cocky git. No, the real truth of it is you're desperate to blame someone for your team's lack of results. So you're using the leading questions to entrap a man who has done nothing but devote himself to the wizarding community for decades. Harry, you destroyed countless lives and helped unleash the calamity upon the world. How can you sit there and pretend that you're the victim of this situation? Gareth, it's simple. I'm not pretending. Lies!
Lies. Oh, lies!
Brilliant flesh-eating slugs. Ron, I've been thinking, do you and Hermione really need to return all of my memories? I can't help but feel I would be better off not knowing what it feels like to vomit slugs. Harry, sorry, Ron, I honestly thought you'd get a laugh out of remembering. Ron, it's easy for you to say you're still blissfully unaware of the taste of slug slime. I don't think I'll ever be able to look at green jelly in the same way again. Ron Weasley's taped wand. Ron! I'm not sure what I'm more gobsmacked to remember. that this isn't the first time my memories were almost completely obliviated, or that you fancied Gilderoy Lockhart. Hermione, I was really hoping you wouldn't remember that. In any case, I don't know if I'd go as far as to say I fancied him. Professional admiration, perhaps. Ron, professional admiration, my wand. You outlined all of Lockhart's lessons in your timetable with little hearts. Hermione, little hearts. Hermione, I suppose I have a weakness for gits with charming smiles. Ron, you really think I have a charming smile? Just gloss over the git bit. Petrified Colin Creevy. Hermione, I'm convinced you've been dreaming of Gareth Greengrass's memories after adversary surges. Remember the one where Millicent Magnold accused the suspect's brother of being a Death Eater? Well, Gareth just so happened to have a brother in Azkaban indicted on the same charge. Gareth was also close to Grim. He would have plenty of opportunity to manipulate Grim into casting the Foundable spell. Harry, you mentioned a few months ago that Gareth had a daughter he seemed reluctant to talk about. Could that be the blood malediction-inflicted daughter our suspect pleaded with Healer Mold Ashbourne to cure? That's a long sentence. Hermione, that's my belief, yes. Which also makes Gareth the prime suspect in Maud's murder. Harry? Gary? Ah! Harry, we thought the mole within the ministry was just an informant for the Unforgivable, but the London Five's disappearance, the Calamity adversaries, is all Gareth all along. Apologies to Hermione Granger. Constance! Know how Greengrass still uses an owl to deliver his interdepartmental memos? Well, I always assumed it's because he was old-fashioned. But one of Harry's auras uncovered that Gareth's owl was actually a transfigured potions cabinet. Inside were bottles of Apologies potion. A few auras volunteered to test them. Curiously, one transformed into editor-in-chief of the Daily Prophet. Another transformed into you. Hermione, I knew he was involved with Ron's abduction. Now that we have evidence to prove it, we have legal justification for continuing to detain him. Yay! Let's get away on a technicality at least. Constance, there's still one thing I don't understand. The auras noted that a bottle of Apologies potion appeared to have been recently tampered with. But Gareth's been detained for almost a month. He couldn't have done it. Hermione, I better alert Harry. I think Gareth's trying to escape. Bum, bum, bum. The end dialogue. Harry, where are you off to in such a hurry, Edward? Or should I say, Gareth? Edward Scott. I beg your pardon. Harry, drop the act, Gareth. I know you talked a naive well-wisher into sneaking you your wand, used the Imperious Curse to force your guard to set you free, and are attempting to escape using Apologies potion. Edward Scott. A.k.a. Gareth. Have you lost your bloody mind? I don't even know who Gareth is. Harry, I haven't lost anything, Gareth, but you're about to lose your freedom, your friends' trust, your future. I hope the Unforgivable were worth it. Mwah! So that is part one. Not exactly a cliffhanger, but he almost escaped. So it's looking good. Maybe this won't be a total cock-up like everything else. So they still have hold of him. He almost escaped. They have evidence now, so they can convict him. I still don't understand why Hermione didn't give him a whole bunch of questions where he was under Veritaserum. You could have a whole plethora of information while he was happy to bang it out. Anyway, part 2. Intro. Harry, as expected, Edward Scott transformed back into Gareth Greengrass as soon as his Apologies potion wore off. I've done some digging since then. As it turns out, there is no wizard named Edward Scott. He's actually a persona Gareth created using Muggle Kensington Millbottom's appearance. Well, that's a bit of a wah. So every time Edward Scott has turned up in the stories, it's been Gareth all along. So, I would advise going to the Taskforce Times.news, using the search facility, search for Edward Scott, and you will find all the dialogue he's ever appeared in, if you're into that sort of thing. Anyway, back to the story. Cousins. So Gareth was cavorting around as the head unspeakable, a member of the Unforgivable, and the lead liaison minister for the Department of International Cooperation, all at the same time? When did he get any sleep? Clearly never worked very hard. That's a ministry job for you. Hermione, you'll have plenty of time to catch up on it now. Thanks to this escape attempt and the Apologies potion linking him to Ron's abduction, we have legal grounds to continue to detain him. With a bugger escape, that's the problem. Harry. True, but we still haven't convinced Gareth to cooperate. Without his insider information, it'll be difficult to shut down the rest of the Unforgivable, find Grim, rescue the London Five, and stop the Calamity. Cousins. Intimidation and bargaining hasn't worked. Why don't we try a more empathetic approach to get him to talk? I suspect he'd be more receptive to that than any other drastic interrogation measures. Brilliant, Rubius Hagrid. Man, these sentences today, we ought to read these out. Harry, your suggestion to get Gareth to talk by emphasising with him is proving easier said than done, Constance. How can I possibly sympathise with somebody who caused so much harm? Constance. You mentioned Gareth has a daughter with a blood malediction, didn't you? As a father yourself, wouldn't you do everything you could to heal your child, even possibly join a cabal of dark witches and wizards? Harry, he's very likely murdered a healer because she wouldn't help him, Constance. He had Ron and the London Five abducted. This isn't a thief who steals because he can't afford to feed his family otherwise. Constance, you're right. Gareth has done some truly apprehensible things. But you don't have to condone his actions to sympathise with him. You lived his life in your dreams. I've heard all of his emotions. Why don't you try tapping into that? Harry, suppose it can't hurt to try. Come on, Harry. Do it. Do it. I mean, I guess Harry's not really an emotional person. Although he has a more emotional range than a teaspoon.
One person couldn't feel all that. It'd explode.
Just because you've got the emotional range of a teaspoon.
Ah. Brilliant acromantula eggs. Gareth. I figured it. I like the way the Foundables are in no way linked to any of the dialogue. Brilliant acromantula eggs. Gareth. I figured it was only a matter of time before the Aura office would grow tired of playing by the rules. Though I'm surprised, the golden boy who lived is the one who will be getting his hands dirty. Harry. I haven't come to interrogate you, Gareth. I just want to talk about your daughter, Sirius. She suffers from a serious blood malediction, doesn't she? Gareth. How do you know that? Harry. When you tapped into my memories to create adversaries, bits and pieces of yours leaked through. Sirius is where you desperately sought out the Foundable spell, isn't it? Because you thought it'd give you what you desired most. A cure for supposedly incurable curses. Gareth, if you've been in my head as much as you say, then you already know the answer to that, don't you? Aha! So there you go. This is where both Gareth and Grim have a very similar purpose or use for the Foundable spell. Gareth wants to find a cure for his daughter, and Grim wants to rescue his wife. Ow. One of the London Five. Okay, I'll get through to my point when we get to the end. From my theory, anyway. Aragog's children. Harry, have you been able to recall any more memories of our second year on? Ron, yes. I remember you talking me into following a trail of spiders into the Forbidden Forest, knowing full well how afraid I am of them. Harry, it all worked out in the end, didn't it? We found out Hagrid was falsely accused of opening the Chamber of Secrets, and we didn't get eaten by acromantulas. Ron, true, but I had a nightmare for months afterwards. Acromantulas under my bed, acromantulas chasing me on brooms, acromantulas dressed like Snape teaching me potions. Why spiders? Why couldn't it have been follow the butterflies?
Why spiders? Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies?
Okay, mysterious note first. Beast. Constance. Hermione, that last Foundable left behind this scrap of parchment. Reckon this is another message from the Unforgivable? Hermione, we did ignore a threat in their last one. This could very well be their response. Constance. I suppose there's only one way to find out. Mysterious note, fifth piece. Constance, the more pieces of this note we recover, the more I suspect it was written by Grim rather than the Unforgivable. Take a look. This is his handwriting, isn't it? Hermione. Either that or an impressive imitation, yes. Does that say be careful? Constance. It's a bit hard to read, but yes, I believe so. Could Grim be trying to send us another warning? Mysterious note, 10th piece. Constance. Now that we've reassembled the entire note, we can finally make out its contents. Let's see. Gareth is only the beginning. Be careful and look within. Gareth is only the beginning. Is Grim trying to tell us that our battle with the Unforgivable is far from over? Bum, bum, bum. Hermione, it certainly sounds like he is, doesn't it? He also appears to imply that the Unforgivable are more embedded among us than we realise. Constance, I wish Grim would just tell us what we ought to know rather than sending us vague hints about it. It would sure make our jobs easier. That's for damn sure. Hermione, the more Grim reaches out, the more I wonder where he is and how he's getting the information in the first place. Is he trapped, in hiding? If he's in trouble, why won't he tell us how we can help him? Exactly. It's driving me crazy. Why not? Feral Weasley's flying car. Ron, I can't believe we were rescued from a den of bloodthirsty spiders by an autonomous flying muggle car. Were our adventures together all this mad? Harry, let's just say our Hogwarts years were never dull. Ron, if the alternative is nearly dying, I can't help but wonder if I might have preferred dull. Fang, Gareth, dun dun dun. If you've come to make me talk, I hope you're prepared to use force. Otherwise, I'm afraid you've wasted your time. Dick. Hermione, You have nothing to gain by continuing to protect the unforgivable, Gareth. If you tell us about them and their plans, we may be able to lessen your sentence. Gareth, no amount of commutation is worth the price of talking. Either find something that is, or prepare to do the unforgivable. Ha! Oh, I see what you did. The end dialogue. Harry, you've done terrible things, Gareth. Unforgivable things. Deserving of a life sentence in Azkaban. But while I absolutely don't condone what you did, I understand why you felt you had no choice but to do them. You were desperate to cure your daughter's blood malediction. And, as you once told me, desperation drives people to do things they'd never be capable of otherwise. Gareth, is this the part where you offer to help Sirius in exchange for my cooperation? Harry, no. This is where I give you my word that regardless of your cooperation, I'll reopen your brother's case and do everything in my power to find a cure for Sirius. Not because I expect anything from it, but because it's the right thing to do. Gareth, I know better than to believe the word of a ministry employee, but something tells me you're not lying. Perhaps we can reach an agreement after all, Harry Potter. Sounds very much like Grip Hook. So that's our dialogue. Right, so not quite sure if the London 5 going missing is all Gareth's doing. Because it's quite a lot of foresight to do the London 5 kidnapping in the hopes that Grim would find a Foundable spell and somehow, have a mutual thing to work on together. So, I think it still stands that the 4 employees of the Ministry and the Daily Prophet reporter, the 4 employees of the Ministry, which includes Penelope, which is Gareth's wife, they were going to go and break the story about the unforgivable in the news, and the all-out, maybe Gareth by name, but about the infiltration of the Ministry by the unforgivable, and obviously it couldn't just raise it with the higher ranks in the Ministry because, well, one of them could be the unforgivable, and then it all goes horribly wrong. So I reckon they did that, but the unforgivable found out anyway, and that's why they all disappeared. Now, where they've all disappeared to, I don't know. If they were just murdered, do not know. So Grim is then desperate to find Penelope, and Gareth doesn't want the unforgivable to be found out, so he does that whole thing about closing down the investigation, and we don't have enough money to do this kind of thing and close down the investigation to try and stop the unforgivable for being leaked out to the press, or this all coming up through the investigation. So then Grim does the Foundable spell in order to get what he most desires, which is Penelope back. So Gareth finds out about this and has a mutual interest in doing the same thing because he wants the blood malediction for his daughter to be cured. So Grim joins Gareth and the Unforgivable to do this. Now, whether Grim actually knows that Gareth was part of the Unforgivable or just a friend with a mutual thing, we don't know. So then the calamity happens, and Grim starts getting cold feet and starts leaking out this information from wherever he is. So not convinced whether Grim is in hiding or just being held captive. I also got no idea what the hell the whole thing is about people not having their memories. It seems to be some sort of side effect from the calamity itself. Let me know in the comments what you think. Of course, Taskforce Times.News has all the dialogue, and you can use the search functionality in there to search for names and give you all the stories that those names are associated with. So that's quite handy if you want to do some digging yourself. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Enjoy this brilliant event, and I will be playing The Witcher, I think, for a little bit. So yeah, if that gets me hooked. If it gets me hooked, I might start doing some more stuff for Witcher. If I kind of feel like, meh, then maybe not. I did try some other things. They didn't really hook me, and they were kind of a bit boring. So, until next time, Pirates of British Pounds. Keep your nose ready, visit.